The United States of America signs out of an energy deal with South Africa, leaving them in limbo. You need to find out about this. Mali, Burkina Faso and Niger have just created a common army. They've genetically selected the best men to represent them militarily. You want to find out about that. Zimbabwe has just signed an agreement with Russia. My brothers, what kind of agreement? You better find out about that now. What's up, everybody? I hope you're doing good. It's a beautiful day. Thank you very much for stopping by. You are very much appreciated. We love you here, man. I mean, if you want to know about Africa, you are at the right place. I know you don't know who I am. I don't know who you are. But if you watch this video till the end, we're surely going to like each other. My name is Zack. Thank you very much for stopping. And here we talk about everybody. Mali, Burkina Faso, Niger, South Africa, Uganda, Kenya, you name it. Ethiopia, Nigeria, even if they hate it. South Africa, they hate it too when you bash them. Wagwan me boss, Jamaica. We even speak about the African American community. So if you want news about Africa, this is where you want to be. Let's go. The American government has just signed out of an energy agreement they had with South Africa. They've just dumped South Africa like toilet paper. Bad.
The United States has officially stopped climate change funding to South Africa for the just energy transition, along with 2 other countries. The move is part of the US President Donald Trump's reallocation of funds.
What was the agreement all about? America was supposed to sponsor a lot of money, billions of dollars, to South Africa. To do what? It was to help South Africa transition from fossil fuel to new energy. Okay, in simple English, I know a lot of you don't understand, okay? Simple English. South Africa is the biggest contributors to global warming in Africa. Therefore, they needed to find a way, to alternatively find a different way to produce energy without necessarily making the world warmer. So America and other countries say, okay, we're gonna come together, put some money for South Africa so they don't burn the sky anymore. And the world can be a much cooler place. I'm gonna explain to you. South Africa is the largest emitter of greenhouse gas in Africa, accounting for around 40% of the continent's total emission. The country is responsible for approximately 1% of the global carbon emissions. Okay, my Nigerian brothers, if you want to go to South Africa, let me give you a tip, okay? Very simple. Zimbabweans as well. You want to go to South Africa and they ask you, why are you here? Just say, well, I'm here because my country is too hot, okay? And it's because of you that my country is too hot. Because you are contributing to 80% of emission. So I just want to stay here because my country doesn't have winter and winter's cold. I just want to cool down for a little bit until it's cooler, then I can go back. And don't ask me where my visa is because you are responsible. Where does the carbon emission of South Africa come from? The primary source of South Africa's emission is its heavy reliance on coal-fired power plants, which provide more than 80% of the country's electricity. So South Africa uses coal power electric plants for its electricity production. So they have to burn coal to generate enough heat to create electricity. And by burning coal, they create a problem. What problem does it create? It creates global warming. What is global warming? Global warming refers to the long-term increase in the Earth's average surface temperature. So basically, this is caused by human activity and particularly the release of greenhouse gas, which South Africa amounts for the most in Africa. So how is coal related to global warming? The burning of coal releases carbon dioxide or CO2. A major greenhouse gas that contributes to global warming. What are the negative impacts of global warming? Rising temperatures, increased heat waves, people get hot, longer warmer seasons, extreme weather events like storms, devastating flooding, high winds, increased rainfall, drought, melting ice and rising sea levels. So they say global warming is creating a lot of mayhem. Therefore, all the fires that you saw burning in California, inundations, are all the result of global warming. And they believe that South Africa is a big contributor to global warming in Africa. Now, South Africa took responsibilities and said, okay, we understand what's happening. We're going to do what we can so we can avoid impacting the world in that way. By doing what? The rest of the world wants South Africa to move from fossil fuel to clean energy. What is fossil fuel? Fossil fuel is coal, oil, natural gas. You need all that stuff to build an industry, to build an economy. They want them to move from that to clean energy. What is clean energy? Clean energy is solar power, wind energy, and battery storage. So they want South Africa to stop burning coal for energy and industry and use wind energy. Now, what's the big question here? The big question is here, the coal industry plays a major role in the South African economy because the majority of people in Mpumalanga, which is one area of South Africa, are all employed by these coal companies. And it's very difficult to tell them from one day to the other, say, okay, we're not going to produce anymore. I mean, what are you going to do with all these people? They're going to go hungry, jobless.
With everything now that it's happening, it's like they are focusing more on the environment while they don't care about the people who are starving and everything. So these things, they need to be balanced so that it goes together.
So many countries came together and said, we're going to give $8.5 billion to South Africa to enable the country to start its shift from coal burning to clean energy. Okay, let me put it this way for you. Now, many of the black people that live around these coal companies have created an economy around these companies because 80% of the people are dependent on this energy. You need to find a way not just to make shift from coal to clean energy. You also need to train the people that used to work in these companies because they're going to be jobless. You need to train the people that used to work in coal energy to work into different energy. So you need to supply them with material, with professors, with training, with money, with stuff to move to the next level. That's why South Africa signed an agreement with America, the European Union, and some other countries. However, the United States of America said, no, South Africa, bye-bye, we don't like you very much. You're not going to get anything from that. Now, what's going to happen to that situation? Question mark. Mali, Burkina Faso, and Niger, these countries right here, you see on the map, they have created a common army. They have meticulously selected men, okay, to go do the job.
Nos forces pourront désormais intervenir ensemble. Ou bien une force peut faire appel à l'autre qui a des moyens un peu plus stratégiques pour défendre. C'est nouveau, c'est original et c'est sécurisant pour notre espace et pour nos populations.
These are three different countries. How did they become a country? Well, white people came from Europe to Africa and separated people, regardless of their appartenance and their belonging, regardless of their clans and tribes. They slashed in the middle without checking with anybody. And they created what they call countries. Africa, before they came in 1884, did not have any countries. When they came, they created countries. Why did they create countries? It was simple. It was not because they wanted to create countries for you. They created countries because they needed not to fight each other. That's why they went to Berlin. They sat in Berlin, the French, the Germans, the British. They say, okay, and many others, let's not fight each other in Africa. The continent is wealthy. It has a lot of things, but we can go and loot without having to kill one another. Why was that necessary? Because they've killed each other for a long time in Europe, for centuries. Therefore, it was necessary for them not to repeat the same mistakes of the past. They cut the countries, created these countries, we are located to the French, those countries to the British, those countries to the German, so forth and so forth. Now, Mali, Burkina Faso, and Niger have something in common. What is it? They all were colonized by the French. Yeah, they were beaten up bad until 1960. That's where they got independence. After the independence, the French people signed a contract with them saying, dude, we're going to leave, okay? We're going to leave you here. We're going to go back to our country. But hey, we need you to sign a piece of paper. Let's say we still need to control your countries. If you don't sign, shing! Yeah. So they had to sign because they were excited. They wanted to be independent. What does the piece of paper say? The piece of paper say we can keep our militaries in your land. Number two, we're going to print your currency for you. Yes, this money right here, the CFA franc, which is used in all of these African countries right here, okay, is printed in France. Yes, talking about freedom. There's no freedom. That money is printed in France for use of Africans. Now, if you take the same amount of money, the same currency, and you fly an airplane, you go to France, you cannot use that money in France. Yes. Anyway, Mali, Burkina Faso, and Niger lately were like rebellious. They called them rebellious. Why? Because they asked the French to leave their country. The soldiers, the diplomats, and all those people who do not live by the rule to leave the country. Now, what happened after that? All these other countries here, these are ECOWAS countries. It's just a union, a bunch of presidents who don't want to leave power in West Africa. Because of them, all the Nigerians have to go to South Africa. I'm just kidding. It's the Nigerians are leaving because of the heat. No. I'm just kidding. Anyway, so now these three countries have rebelled against the other country. They've left ECOWAS. They used to be part of ECOWAS. They're no more. Well, right now, they've created their own army to protect each other against terrorists and against any other country that dares to come to their door and try to create mayhem. Congratulations, what? Pick a mikono. Yes. You know, the problem with Africans is what? When one African is breaking free from any other sort of oppression, instead of other Africans clapping for him, they actually hate it. I'm being honest with you. Am I not African? If I were white, you say I'm racist. I'm telling you the truth because I know. Yeah, you know that too, right? When an African is trying to break through from shackle of something, poverty, difficulties, whatever it is, other Africans hate that. That's exactly what Mali, Burkina Faso is experiencing right now from these other countries. Okay, now we're going to Zimbabwe. Zimbabwe just signed an agreement with Russia. Why Russia? Because Russia is the man right now. Let me explain to you. Now, Zimbabwe has been through many sanctions, okay? Back in time when Robert Mugabe was in power, he asked white people of Zimbabwe to start banking in Zimbabwe. Yes, because white people of Zimbabwe, a lot of them, once they worked, they sent money to Britain. Yeah. They worked in Zimbabwe, made money, sent to Britain. So the Zimbabwean president said, dude, you need to start banking in our banks. You said you're Zimbabwean, right? So start banking here. If you don't do that, I'm going to be angry. Well, a lot of them refused. They continue sending money to Britain. Then he said to them, okay, so you guys own farms here, right? You have most of the land. My people don't have land. I'm going to take my land from you because, yeah, my people don't have land. Let's take the land from you.
Having and bearing sanctions banning us from Europe, we are not Europeans. We have not asked for any inch of Europe or any square inch of that territory. So, Blair, keep your England and let me keep my Zimbabwe.
Now, the white people were not happy. They refused to release the land. Well, it took the land by force. In some instances, bad things happened to some of the white people that did nothing wrong. Yeah, so that was the situation. After that, Zimbabwe was sanctioned by Britain, European Union, and America. Why did they sanction them? Because they said they took the land by force from white people. Now, did the land belong to the white people? Well, no. The white people came from here, from Britain. They came all the way to Africa. They conquered, they beat the blacks. They took the land. So Zimbabwe has been under sanction for all these years. Well, Robert Mugabe is deceased for a long time now, but Zimbabwe is still under sanction. Let me tell you what they did. They came forward, said, we're releasing the sanctions, some of the sanction. But later on, they re-sanctioned Zimbabwe in a very quiet way, in a different manner. It's like I'm cutting you here. Once you're bleeding, I'm cutting you here. As you're bleeding, I come and say, sorry, okay, don't bleed anymore. But then I cut you again. That's what they've done. Now, Zimbabwe has been through many sanctions. They cannot export. They cannot import. It's been very difficult. And they've been begging all these countries, especially America, to release them from sanctions. And nothing has occurred. Now, they did what? Okay, because you don't want to listen to us anymore, we're going to Russia. They've gone to Russia. Well, Russia understands sanctions because Russia's got 24,000 sanctions over them right now. They expected them to crumble. They have not crumbled. They're still resisting. So Russia understands. Russia has vowed to help Zimbabwe through the sanction to pick up the economy. Russia and Zimbabwe signed an agreement jointly to counter sanctions. The signing took place during a meeting between the Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov and Zimbabwean counterpart Amon Murirwa in Moscow. The agreement aimed to enhance collaboration in various sectors, including geopolitical exploration, mineral resource extraction, energy, agriculture, and defense. So we're hoping to see that Zimbabwe is going to do great after this. That's what it is, fellas. The United States of America will not sponsor South Africa anymore. They are not going to pay for energy anymore. Now, South Africa will be warming up Africa and the world. So if you're very hot and you need a visa to South Africa, well, maybe, just find a way. You just tell the visa person, I'm coming to South Africa because you guys are warming up Africa. And it's very hot because we don't have winter and only the southern hemisphere or the northern hemisphere of winter. I'm coming to South Africa for a little bit, just to cool up a little bit, and then I'll go back. Make sure you go back. Okay. Mali, Burkina Faso's got a joint army now. No joke. If you play, they're going to make you eat bananas by force. Zimbabwe has just signed a contract with Russia, helping them to combat the sanctions, illegal sanctions. Let me know how you feel about this. It's always a great pleasure. God bless. Drop a comment. Subscribe. You know you gotta do that, okay? Or else I'm gonna... Cheers.